Hello to all of you fine folks out there. Thank you so much for being a listener of Remodelers on the Rise. What I'm going to do today is do a little, still kind of riding high a little bit from an in-person event that was for the VIP Club, Remodelers VIP Club. Oh, you may be intrigued by that. Oh, you might want to check that out. If you go to remodelersontherise.com, you click on the VIP Club, you may be wanting to participate in that later this year or even next year. But we had, as part of the VIP Club, the first of two in-person events. You can see from this beautiful little spiral bound notebook, it was called Crafting the Experience. Crafting the Experience. In particular, it was about crafting the client experience. What does it look like from the initial time that a prospective client reaches out to you all the way through to the completion of the project? What does it look like to craft a remarkable, wonderful experience for our clients? That's what we were saturated in for 2 days. We had remodelers coming in from all around the country: Arizona, Washington State, Connecticut, Florida. We had everything covered. And they came together after having done a lot of Zoom training so far this year and got to meet each other. There is, hear me now, remember me later, there is something powerful in stepping out of your business for a couple days. Yes, you're busy. Yes, you've got a lot to do. There is something regenerative and helpful and mind clearing and inspiring and encouraging about stepping away from your business, traveling somewhere, and being immersed in good ideas, best practices, inspiration, great ideas from your peers, meeting people that are going through the same thing as you are. If you are lacking that type of community and encouragement, I would highly recommend yes, reaching out to me or going out there and finding it. What I wanted to do in today's episode is just kind of go through a little bit of highlights of some of the things that were learned, some of the things that people really resonated with, in hopes that it also resonates with you and you'll find a few nuggets in here that you can implement. We started. Oh, look at that. If you're watching the video, you can see I'm holding up a lovely little trophy. Well, Kyle, that's not very nice of you to have these golfing trophies and for you to steal one. Oh, no, I didn't steal one. I'm just back-to-back champion. My team was victorious yet again in the Remodelers VIP Club Spring 2023 golf tournament. There was a group of us that got together the Wednesday, the day before the event officially started, and we had a lovely day and a lovely round of golf and just some good bonding. And then Wednesday evening, Jeff and Monica Forward with Forward Design Build in Ann Arbor they were kind enough to host a little meet and greet. We had some food, we had some drinks. Jeff did a presentation on the different meetings that they take their clients through once the design agreement is signed all the way through until the project is completed. That was very eye-opening, and it was just inspiring for so many remodelers to come in and see how Jeff and Monica have their business, their office, their shop all set up. There was a lot of learning that happened there. And then we kicked things off Thursday morning. Everybody had a little swag bag. Look at those nice new hats. They got a little Remodelers on the Rise patch on them. And we kicked things off talking about the very beginning of the process. Step one, that first contact that a prospect has with you. And we took a gander at that, thought about that. And how do prospects reach out to you, Mr. and Mrs. Remodeler? They reach out to you perhaps through your website contact form, perhaps through a phone call, perhaps through a social media post, perhaps through a text message. And what we did was look at some best practices in each of those areas of how do we really present a great experience right from the get-go. And a lot of people had takeaways of, wow, I probably need to review and update my voicemail message. We listened to Laurel Winkle from She Builds, who, when you listen to her voicemail, it directs the prospect with exactly what she would like them to do in a very friendly, in a somewhat humorous way. We actually listened to her voicemail and got some inspiration from that. And pretty much everybody left saying, I have got to go look at my website contact form. Why is it that I'm not gathering photos or giving them the opportunity to even upload a video of their project? Why am I not asking what their budget range is, even if I don't make that a required field? Wow, there's so much data and information about this prospect that I could be receiving to help lead them through the process if I updated my website contact form. Another thing that was mentioned, an example that was used, is when somebody goes to your website contact form, do you have a video on there? Wouldn't it be something if it said, hey, welcome to Kyle's Remodeling. You're on the Contact Us page. Thank you so much. We're excited to hear about your project. Once you fill out this form, here is exactly what to expect and what happens next. Fill in the blank. I'm always trying to inspire and encourage my clients not only to hear a good idea, but to take action. And I believe, I think this is how it went. People love that idea. And I said, that's cute that you guys love that idea. Now, what are you actually going to do with it? And I said, folks, we're a little under budget on this event. And for the first 2 people that send me a link with a video on their Contact Us page, there's a $100 Amazon gift card coming in the mail to you. Oh, I had their attention right from the minute 10 in this event. And by golly, here it is Tuesday, and we had a VIP Club member send a link yesterday to a newly crafted video that they put on their Contact Us page that enhances their Contact Us page and kind of crafts the client experience a little bit better. So that was that at first contact. The next thing we dug into was related to the initial phone call or Zoom call. And I was really encouraging folks to think about doing this call via Zoom. This is your initial conversation you're having with a prospect. You have some information. Hopefully you also have some photos already of their project. It is much stronger to be looking at them, to be talking to them versus just doing it via phone. The Zangle group down in Dayton, Ohio, they shared how they do this initial conversation via Zoom and how it has been very smooth for them and helpful for them, even to the point where they have crafted the process to the point where they are receiving and signing design and development agreements before even going out to the home. Super interesting. It got everybody thinking quite a bit there. One of the things that, a couple other little tidbits related to the initial Zoom call, always smile when taking the phone call. You can hear that through the phone. People were talking about how if they could take some of their projects and show the before and after, show some of the after photos, and then put a little bit of, hey, this kitchen that we did recently was $82,000. This one was $112,000. This one was $140,000. They could see how by taking exact projects that they've had completed and just letting people know a brief scope of the work and what that investment was would really enable the conversation to happen related to budget and investment range, and also highlight how varied the project prices were, hence why it's so important to go through the design and development process. So that was some clarity that folks had. To practice this initial conversation, to really make sure that the person doing this call is well rehearsed and well practiced, making sure we're not shooting from the hip, but we actually have a project development, new what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm saying project development, but a project discovery call, a form in front of you with all the questions that you have. And lastly, another thing that came up here is make sure you're leading the meeting. And I actually put this little sticky note here. An example of that could be, we want to accomplish 4 things today. We want to hear, number 1, about how you found out about us and what you know about us. And just talk about any previous remodeling experiences that you've had. Again, these are some ideas. Initial phone call, initial Zoom call. When you get that started up, let them know, here's 4 things I want to accomplish on this call. 1, what I just mentioned. Number 2, I want to ask a lot of questions about your project and really get a clear understanding of what you're trying to do. Number 3, we want to share how our process works, in particular, the first couple steps when we get into design and project development and exactly how that works and why we do it that way. And number 4, if we both agree that it makes sense, set up a time for the in-person meeting or the next step. People really, that resonated with folks to help organize that initial conversation that you have. So that was the second thing that we dug into. Third thing we did, and by the way, after each, I gave them all sticky notes, all these little Remodelers on the Rise sticky notes. And by golly, they were writing down sticky notes. I said, write down your takeaways, write down the things that you're going to work on, that you're going to implement. And under number one, under number two, under number three, they were littered. Each of those areas were littered with takeaways and sticky notes of things they're going to be doing. The third thing was the in-person visit, making sure that we are approaching that initial in-person meeting being well prepared, physically prepared, mentally prepared, that we have a process, that we have perhaps even a presentation folder. Nation Builders down in South Carolina, they brought this for kind of show and tell, and showed how when they go out to their initial meeting, they've got a wonderful little "this is how we work" step by step. They've got a little bit more about their process. They've got this wonderful emotional journey of a home remodel pamphlet, along with other things to build, know, like, and trust. People were very realizing that they're not bringing much out to that initial appointment, and it's a wonderful opportunity to build, know, like, and trust. So we dug into that. This is helpful. Hopefully this is a little helpful to kind of go just step by step through. And what this was all about was crafting the client experience, putting ourselves in the client's shoes and thinking through what are they actually experiencing? How do we make this an even better experience for them? How do we make sure they know exactly what's coming up next and for us to sell that very next step? Afternoon of day one, we got to hear from a wonderful speaker I brought in from Sandler Training. His name was Eric Meyer, and his whole training was on remodeling the buyer-seller relationship. There's a lot to unpack and to kind of study more related to it. But buyers have their process; they have their objections, and then we, as the salesperson, we also have our process and our objections. How do we match those two things up well? How do we utilize upfront contracts and talking about their pain points? The Sandler selling system is something that a lot of remodelers have in practice and that they've honed their skills on, and it can be a really helpful tool for remodelers. So if you've never heard of Sandler, even looking up a book that you could, I gave away a bunch of them, I don't have them handy, but there's a lot of Sandler books that you might want to look into, or some local Sandler training. And we went into breakout groups. A lot of folks got to meet each other in person for the first time. They've been meeting virtually so far this year quite a bit, so that was fun. And then as we continued through our client experience process, we started getting into the fourth part. Initial contact being the first, initial Zoom or phone call being the second, the in-person meeting being the third part, and the fourth part being into design and development. Boy, what we realized here is we need to continue to smoothen out and improve the way that we educate and teach our clients about how the design and development process works, and also why it is so valuable for them, and making sure that this experience they have is a smooth and enjoyable one, that they have projects that stay on time and on budget. And we realize that we need to do a lot more training related to it. We need to confirm the good decisions that they're making throughout the process. That came up. Making sure we have multiple budget check-in points throughout the process, and that we have practiced and honed how we explain it and how we sell and articulate the very next step in the process. Charging for design and development is incredibly important for remodelers who are doing full kitchens, full bathrooms, additions, and we need to continue to work on how we make that an enjoyable step in the process for our clients. Then we went into a new client. They sign with us. What happens? Oftentimes, when a new client is signed, we collect their deposit, and then it kind of gets quiet. And we want to make sure that all of the work we've done to make this a smooth, enjoyable, timely process up to that point, that we continue that on when the client's signed. We went through some examples of something called a new client kit. We talked about the cadence of how frequently we stay in touch with clients between that time that they sign with us and the time production starts, and went through a bunch of best practices there. And then we went into what happens during production. We had a 30-minute brainstorm session full of amazing ideas from these other 35 remodelers from around the country on how do we make the production part of the process a wonderful experience for our clients. Talked about giving out dust when it's dusty and it's the worst part, giving out gift cards. Talked about air filters, replacing the air filters. Talked about making sure that we have a very clear production schedule. We talked about this idea of quick five things, 5 minutes. If more of our clients, if more remodelers did this with their clients, whether it's the lead carpenter or whether it's the production manager or the owner, if you wrap up the day, or certainly if you wrap up the week by saying, all right, hey client, like we talked about, like we've done throughout this process, 5 things, 5 minutes. You guys have 5 minutes for us? On wonderful. Number one is today. Here's what happened today. Let's get you caught up on everything going on. Number two is open. I have 2 open questions that I need answers for some things that are coming up. Number 3, next. Here's what's coming up next, schedule-wise. Here's what we're looking at for next week. Just real clear communication. Number 4, your turn, client. Do you have any questions or concerns or praises, anything you'd like to communicate? And number 5, we're just going to close out the day. Here's some actions that we're going to take. Here's some concerns that you relayed to us that we're going to relay. We're going to create our daily log and kind of wrap up. Talking about what does it look like to have proactive, clear communication. Wonderful. So hopefully even within that, there's a few nuggets that will get you thinking, that will remind you of some things that you want to be working on or need to work on. In addition to that, we also had a wonderful speaker from Zingerman's Zing Train. Her name was Elnian. And she came in, and what was the exact title? If I go to my lovely little agenda here, her title was on building a culture of great service, building a culture of great service. And the thing that all of our eyes were open to is delivering a great client experience is not just happenstance. It's very thoughtful and can be designed. What are the 5 ways to deal with a problem situation? What are the 3 keys to excellent customer service? And all of our eyes were open to that. She did a fantastic job training on that. So that's a little recap of the crafting the client experience. Hopefully it's helpful to hear that. And then probably the bigger takeaway for this is if you were to step back and you were to think about how is your client experience right now? If you were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being pitiful, 10 being remarkable, where would you rate your client experience? And if you rated a 6, if you rated a 7, if you rated a 5, if you rated 8, what needs to happen in order to improve it, to continue to move it towards that 10? Because the more that you deliver on the client experience, the more repeat work happens, less stress happens, more referral work happens. It's just really healthy for your remodeling business. So hope you enjoyed today's show. Feel free to reach out anytime. If you're not part of Remodelers Community, check out remodelerscommunity.com. It's a very active, wonderful Facebook group. There's all kinds of templates and tools and resources that you can find at Remodelers with an S, Vault, VAULT.com. A bunch of free templates and tools that you would love and enjoy. If you're not staying in touch with your previous clients, check out remodelersautopilot.com. It's a wonderful little tool done for you, email newsletter and social media posts. And beyond that, feel free to reach out if you have any questions or thoughts or if I can help in any way. Continue to learn, continue to improve, continue to work day by day of doing one thing better in your remodeling business. That compound effect of layering on little things, good things, good things. You look back after 6 months or a year and you realize how far you've come. Continue to pursue that, continue to get better, and hopefully listening to today's episode and listening to the Remodelers on the Rise show inspires you to do just that. Take care.